Calling it now, it's just gonna be a season's worth of random nothing episodes adapted from the series' golden age.
Well, it appears I may have been too generous in my assumption of this reboot. This was a clip from my video from around a year ago, discussing what I was expecting from the, at the time, newly announced Fairly OddParents live-action reboot, and ultimately that I thought it was just a flawed concept from its very conception, due to a variety of factors, with the main one being that the very premise to said show doesn't lend itself to live action. But I could have never imagined it would actually be worse than I initially thought. I set my expectations as low as possible, and still I ended up completely devastated at the result. Fairly OddParents, Fairly Odder, dumb name by the way, is the brand new live-action animated hybrid sitcom created by Nickelodeon, and its never-ending attempt to reboot all of its old IPs for a new audience. And failing miserably at them all.
Super Mario in real life. Spaghetti!
Now, as you should know by now, The Fairly OddParents is one of my favorite shows ever made. I've made countless videos. Okay, well, you can't count them, it's 5. But figuratively countless videos, giving my reasons as to why I believe those first 4 to 5 seasons are some of the best of any children's show out there. How they were able to so well balance telling a good moral for kids through the use of pleasing visuals, inventive premises, and most importantly, likable characters. So I feel like I'm probably one of the most qualified people on YouTube to discuss the new series. And believe you me when I tell ya, it's bad. Like, really, really bad.
Hi-ho! Billie Eilish, away!
Like I mentioned at the start of the video, I was more than generous in my prediction of what the series would be. I assumed it would have been a simple retelling of some of the original series' best episodes, just in live action. What I could have never imagined is that it would have been a continuation series starring the cousin of Timmy Turner being given fairy godparents. And after sitting through all 13 episodes of the first season, this is worse than season 10, without a doubt. A bold claim, I know, but an accurate one. This show seriously made me feel like I aged 20 years just by sitting through it. It took the life out of me. Jeez. It sure is a good thing this video is sponsored by Manscaped.com so I can shave this newly grown beard. The video is sponsored by Manscaped.com. Manscaped offers the best tools and liquid formulations for your body. They hooked me up with this all-in-one Performance Package 4.0. Check it out. It's got the Lawnmower 4.0 body trimmer, with waterproof trimmers and advanced skin-safe technology. They even sent this wireless nose and ear hair trimmer, deodorant, and look, for a limited time you can get all this plus 2 free gifts. The Shed travel bag and boxer briefs. So go to manscaped.com today and get 20% off, plus free international shipping, plus 2 free gifts when you use promo code ALICEMARK at checkout. And thank you to Manscaped.com for sponsoring this video. The Fairly OddParents, Fairly Odder, stars Vivian Turner. She's just been granted the fairy godparents of Timmy Turner, Cosmo and Wanda, who will now grant her every wish as she tries to fit into the town of Dimsdale, with her father, new stepmother, and super cool radical stepbrother Roy. He says let's go a lot.
New sister, let's go! Let's go! Let's go? Absolutely zero regrets, let us go!
So the whole show has a similar setup to the original. Each episode focuses on one of the kids making a wish and we see how it backfires. Except this one does it worse in every single way. Just the way this thing starts is so fucking insulting. You know, usually I like to have some semblance of structure to these videos, like I don't just want to talk about it scene by scene, but for this show it's necessary to at the very least start this by discussing the first couple minutes of episode 1, because in these few measly minutes you can tell exactly what this series is gonna be. Shit. First of all, what is this? This show starts with an animated segment explaining the story of the original Fairly OddParents, but they do it with this dead-eyed Timmy staring into your soul with no buck teeth. Like that's the iconic part of his character. I think him opening his mouth here was meant to be a joke like, oh whoa, now that kid has some big teeth, I wasn't expecting that. But like, this is portrayed horribly through the animation. He's just kind of like, it's weird, it's creepy. Then they show a variety of highlights from the original show, and I seriously don't see why they thought this was a good idea, because all it does is remind me of how good the original was, and how much worse this show looks. Fairly OddParents came out over 20 years ago, and it looks 10 times better than the reboot that released in 2022. How does that happen? Well, you put all your focus in live action, that's how. Because we're then met with... ugh. No offense to this guy, but... ugh. You know, you could have just had me play Timmy at this point, Nickelodeon. Come on, I would have done it for free. Timmy is literally just here to pass the torch and give old fans some kind of reason to want to check this show out. You gotta see an older Timmy, whoa! Well, okay, ignore that time. And that time. Whoa, definitely ignore that one. They continue to do this thing throughout the series where they'll bring Timmy up for no reason other than reminding you of the original, I guess. Like at the ending of one episode where Vivian is eating lunch on a school bench and they pan down and zoom into Timmy's name, which was written on it like, why do I care about this? What does this mean? The biggest problem with the story of this show is that Vivian doesn't really deserve fairies at all. Literally every single person knows the most basic rule of them all, and that's that only miserable kids gonna have fairy godparents. But Vivian has no reason to be miserable at all with the life she has. Their justification for this is that she's nervous to be moving into this new town with new people, but if that qualifies fairies, then that shortage would have happened a lot sooner than season 10. Let's compare Viv to Timmy for a second to see what I'm talking about. Now, Timmy went to an awful school filled with bullies, and a teacher who constantly picked on him and gave him Fs. His crush didn't even know he existed. His closest allies were two kids who were just as unpopular as he was. And when he goes home to escape this, he doesn't even get to spend time with his parents because they're always going out and neglecting him, leaving him with this evil babysitter Vicky who at times literally tries to kill him. Viv has a teacher who gives her detention every now and then. Her stepmom is mean to her every once in a while, and, fucking boo-hoo. Do you hear that, Vivian? I'm playing the world's smallest violin. Vivian is not miserable in this show in the slightest. She has this nice-ass room, this father and brother who love her, and a friend who wants to fuck her brother. Wait. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. They really stopped giving a shit about the rules in the later seasons of the show, but I can't believe they decided to overlook one of the most fundamental aspects of the original series, that being that you're happy Timmy has such a good relationship with Cosmo and Wanda because everything else in his life is horrible, and you want to see him overcome the challenges he faces through wishes. And speaking of wishes, this show handles them in such a lame and pointless way. See, in the original show, the way they handled wishes for the most part were that they were basically life lessons for Timmy disguised as fun adventures. In the word godparents, there's something hidden in there you may not have noticed. That being the word parents. Cosmo and Wanda were parental figures for Timmy, trying to teach him right from wrong, teaching him valuable lessons such as the importance of having true friends, respecting his parents, and ultimately to not be so selfish. They were steering him towards being a better person, and that's an aspect I felt was always unappreciated about it.
Yeah, but I want friends who like me for who I am, not what I have. I'm sorry I didn't figure that out earlier.
Does that look like a bad kid to you?
No. No, it doesn't.
But in Fairly Odder, Cosmo and Wanda are literally just here for the purpose of granting wishes. They rarely, if ever, serve any plot relevance. We just have our boring human characters be presented with an issue, they call in Cosmo and Wanda to make their wish, then they disappear, only to come back in 2 or 3 more times throughout the rest of the show to go, hey, how's the wish going? Oh, bad? Alright, we'll just undo that, no problem. Remember when Cosmo and Wanda would consistently follow Timmy around and talk to him during the episodes? Yeah, they have no fucking presence in this series. I really don't know why they're here, other than just fucking, nostalgia. They try to make this interesting by having the dumb rule that each of the kids can only make 1 wish at a time, like it works in a rotation system, but this idea is only really used to any effect in the first episode, and rarely again, they kinda just forget about it, only to bring it up when it's convenient for the plot. The biggest issue here is that in live action, you're really restricted to the type of shit you can wish for, because there's a budget to adhere to, and a very low one at that. Seriously, there's a point where they have, like, a Godzilla costume, and it's literally just something bought from fucking Amazon. So because of that, you gotta do stuff within your limit. Like when Vivian wishes to be taller in the first episode, they just, like, put her on a ladder and aim the camera up so he can't see her leg. You know, it kinda defeats the point of the limitless imagination of a child. I wish for a unicorn! I can do a pony with a cone on its head. Yeah, that's just as good. The relationship between Cosmo, Wanda, and the kids is almost non-existent. They barely interact. Like, remember in the OG show how Wanda would call Timmy Sport? You know, it's shit like that. Such a simple little nickname that just makes you go, oh, she cares about him. But there's nothing like that in this one, because we've got Cosmo and Wanda who just sit around and crack jokes, and Vivian and Roy who are just bland. It's like they split Timmy into 2, his nerdy, unpopular side and his super confident, egotistical side, and called it a day.
Okay, can I wish for Ty to change his mind about having the school dance here?
Mind control goes against the rules!
Yeah, no mind control. Except for in the first episode where she mind controls her dad. I mean, we can only care so much, right? There's a lot of shit like that where they contradict themselves and go against shit they already establish. Like, remember how in Father Time, Cosmo would always jump to time travel to help Timmy fix his problems? It's kind of funny.
Or you could go back in time and stop your dad from ever winning the thing in the first place. You could just go forward in time enough to... Quiet!
Well, in this show, they do a similar thing and even bring back the time scooter, but Cosmo is the one to warn them about the use of time travel. What? Wouldn't that be more of a Wanda line?
Time travel can get a little sticky.
This could have been a cute little callback, like, I gotta warn you about time travel. Timmy tried that a couple times and it did not go well. But that would require watching the original, I guess. Well, I mean, clearly somebody on the staff did, because for some reason there's a lot of really bizarre references to the original series. Some are kinda clever, like this board game in their house called The Same Game, obviously referencing the episode. They even have the little grey blobby guys too. But then others are just weird, like when Cosmo says,
What's he gonna do? Tear apart reality with his bare hands and say, we puny fairies have some splaining to do. Wanda, you got some splaining to do.
like, why does he say that? It's only in there for the sake of reference. There's a lot of strange and non-Fairly OddParents references too, like when they talk about Jason Momoa, Olivia Rodrigo, and fucking Hamilton.
What's your favorite part of Hamilton?
But I guess the original show did that too, so they gotta pass on this one.
Just like Dr. Phil.
The most confusing one, however, is a fucking South Park reference of all things.
Boo, you guys! I'm going home!
She doesn't even go home. Like, who the hell is this show for? Is it for little babies who are having this be their first introduction to the series? Well, it couldn't be, because there's so many references and callbacks to the original and weird adult humor. Well, then it's for the fans of the original who have now grown up a bit, but no, because adults aren't going to want to watch a dumb lame 2020s Nickelodeon sitcom. This show has no target demographic, no audience, it's so confused on what it wants to be. The writing, however, of this show is without a doubt its weakest aspect. And I think ironically enough, a part of that might be because they're trying too hard to make it akin to the original. That may sound strange, but it's actually something similar to the Drake Bell movies they did like a decade ago. Oh my god, those were a decade ago. They're taking this very cartoony style of writing, but doing it in live action, and it just doesn't work as well. We've got all the famous Butch Hartman classics such as weird overacting and characters screaming in place of joke.
What kind of person would want to go to that snooze fest?
Character says long drawn out thing, then people keep repeating it because repetition equal funny.
Okay, do you expect me to apologize for reconnecting with my high school sweetheart last week, marrying her on a whim, quitting my job, selling her house in Oldsburg, and moving to Dimsdale to live with them? Because now that I say it out loud, I realize that was nuts, so I will.
And of course, everybody's absolute favorite. And then the opposite happens.
Who hates surprise parties? Your cousin really sounds like a mess.
She's not a mess. She just doesn't like a lot of attention.
Because she's a mess?
She is not a mess.
Oh god, I'm a mess!
But I could ignore that shit if the humor wasn't so unbelievably cringy. Like, you know how much I hate using that word, but that's just what it is.
Yeet, yeet, mother daughters!
They are constantly referencing shitty memes, saying YOLO, yeet, flossing, talking about the hashtags and TikToks, and they for some reason think that that substitutes as a joke. Like, is there really any kid out there who laughs at this shit? Honestly. Oh wait, I'm supposed to laugh now because the laugh track is telling me to. Whoever is control of the soundboard for the show was way too generous for what they considered a joke. This fucking fake crowd never shuts up. The laugh track got so annoying that I literally couldn't stop thinking about it and wrote it down twice in my notes by mistake. The most laughable thing at all is that in the last couple episodes they actually try to start taking things seriously and tell a story with their characters, as if we've somehow grown to care about them over the past dozen episodes. Now there is actually one little plot detail that I think was cool in this show, but they completely squander it. And it's that Vicky from the original series has now become a teacher. That's a decent concept. This show has a lot of dumb attempts to insert characters from the original, like having another Bucks Aplenty kid, but he's just unfunny. But this Vicky one works, as I was especially interested when they showed that she one day happened upon Crocker's old secret closet, and found out about the existence of fairies, which reminds her of all the weird shit that happened to her when babysitting Timmy. Now that's actually a cool idea, taking something from the original and expanding upon it. But all this leads to is her helping Crocker escape from the mental asylum he's at to come and kidnap the fairies, and he succeeds in getting transported to Fairy World. Oh shit, what's he gonna do? And the other times this happened, it's led to some of the most intense and cool moments of the series. What are they gonna... Oh, he gets caught and arrested off screen and put in a fairy prison where... What? Oh my... Why did... No, stop showing him. It's not meant to be seen from that angle. Why? I've avoided going in depth with it for too long, but the animation in this show is next level cheap. It reminds me of one of those old Flash PC Fairly OddParents games. Like, literally, it is that quality. No exaggeration.
What's wrong, Timmy?
It's all the stupid homework Mr. Crocker gave me.
The show has this really weird fixation on integrating a lot of the 2D Butch Hartman art into sets. Like, every time they show Crocker before he comes into the show, he's shown as a 2D character, and everyone just accepts this. Like, what does Vicky see when she looks at this? Also, why is he fucking front-facing? They never did that in the original. In Timmy's bedroom, he's a framed photograph of his bedroom. Is that supposed to be a Butch Hartman version of Roy? You could have just asked him to draw it himself. He does commissions. I don't know, man. If you're gonna make a live-action reboot, then go all out, not this half-and-half shit. Like these bizarre transitions where they go from a weird traced ripoff of Butch Hartman's style to real life. Oh no, I'm sorry, this is not real life. This is a crappy, unrendered CGI version of the location. Not that the live-action sets are much better. This shit looks like it was thrown together in an afternoon. There was so much unpainted plywood laying around these places. And then there are the elephants in the room. Cosmo and Wanda themselves. And this shit makes Season 10 Fairly OddParents look like Citizen Kane. Wait, no, that doesn't work here. This shit makes Season 10 Fairly OddParents look like Citizen Kane. But if Citizen Kane were animated. Anyways, it sucks. I saw one of the animators on the show excuse it because it's just flash animation and not traditional, and that's just so strange to me, that even the animators have this weird stigma that rigged animation is somehow worse than frame by frame. As I've discussed before in other videos, I think for TV, some of the best animated series we're getting right now are rigged, while the frame-by-frame ones look boring for the most part due to low budgets, and focusing on stilted pose-to-pose animation. I was talking to a good friend of mine, Rebecca, who works at Mercury, who consistently animates some of the best looking rigged shows out there, such as the new Mickey Mouse cartoons, Hilda, and Ghost of Molly McGee. And she seems to think that a lot of the issues with Fairly Odd stems from them relying too much on top pegs, which gives off this weird bouncy look, where the character's whole body just moves. And the posing not being very good. Like, the original had pretty clear guidelines to follow. Keep things straight and jagged, not whatever the fuck is going on here. They've made all these weird subtle design changes to Cosmo and Wanda that just leave me scratching my head. Like rounding out their feet or giving Wanda this strange little fucking tangent near hair. Or the fact that they have these ugly looking, like, gradients, like, shading them, like, no, ugh. It's not a good sign when Ned's Declassified could integrate these characters to live action better than the actual show. The Fairly OddParents wouldn't even be that hard to translate into Flash. The original show has a really basic way of animating its characters, where there's barely any squash and stretch or in-betweens. The movements are all very fast. Every character always has such a good silhouette. But here, most likely because the animation wasn't a top priority for Nick, we get scenes like this.
Because they are fairies, this is where the human scum stay!
Like, this is just unacceptable. I don't know, dude. I wanted to sit here and make a big hour-long video shitting all over this thing, but there really isn't that much to say that isn't already clear from simply watching the thing. Watching this show just made me miserable at the fact that Nickelodeon really mistreats this IP. You've taken what was once your second most popular show of all time, and a show that I really, really care about, and consistently soiled it! Soiled it! Soiled it! Arguably more than any of your other ones. At least a majority of those ones are able to remain dormant, and aren't resurrected every decade to shit on his legacy further. And they also get to be in the fighting game, I'm still pissed about that! Don't bother watching Fairly OddParents Fairly Odder. It's not even worth it for a fucking laugh. It's just sad. So I guess I'll just end it with this. Please, Nick, please let me make a Fairly OddParents movie like the Rocco and Invader Zim ones. I'll do a good job, I promise. Please, please, please.